Hello and welcome to the Paris FinTech Forum Communities Programme. I'm Elliot Godkin, I'm a journalist, and with Laurent Nizri, co-host of this exclusive video interview series produced with the support of Solaris Bank, Rise, and BPI France. Now, picture this. You've got a perfect credit score in your home country, but you've just moved to the US and no one, be it banks, cell phone companies, or anyone else, has got access to that information. Financially, you are effectively persona non grata, unless, of course, you are using Nova Credit, which is a fintech that repackages your international credit data for the US, restoring your credit visibility. The company's co-founder and CEO is Misha Esipov, who joins me now. Great to see you, Misha.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit more about Nova Credit and how it works.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Really a pleasure to be here. So we're a fintech based out of California, offices in New York. I'm in our New York office right now. And the problem that we solve is when anybody moves around the world, they have to start over. So if you come to the U.S. or move to the U.K. and you apply for the various financial products that you need when you first arrive, getting your bank account, a card, a place to live, a cell phone plan, all of those products are effectively unavailable to you because you lack a local country bureau. So in the U.S. context, you apply for a card, they check the U.S. bureau. U.S. bureau says, I don't know who Misha is. And effectively what Nova Credit has done over the last 5 years is we've gone around the world. We've partnered with the leading credit bureaus in all major markets that send migrant flow. We work with Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, CRIF, Credit Info, various other international credit bureaus. And on the basis of consent, we're able to access that information, standardize it into what we call into what we've called the credit passport, which is kind of our core product, where the same way that your passport is how you travel the world, your credit passport is how you access financial services from one market to another. And we allow consumers to access their own information and use that to get approved for products from the day they arrive in a new country.
And do banks, cell phone companies, and everyone else, do they trust it when it comes from you, saying that, hey, here's this person's data, here's their file, that they're a good credit risk? Do they trust you? Did it take time to get that trust?
Certainly taken some time, but at the end of the day, the information that we're delivering is not vaporware. It's not sort of alternative data. It is like real credit bureau data from the home country. So we're tapping into decades worth of information that's been built on by local credit bureaus. So let's think about the UK, for example, which is a market I'm sure you know well. There are 3 credit bureaus there: Experian, Equifax, now TransUnion as well after the call credit purchase. So we work with one of those 3 players, and the information that we're delivering to our partners here in the US is of the highest quality that exists in the UK. So it is the traditional credit bureau, and what we've done is we've gone above and beyond to standardize that information so that a UK bureau looks and feels like a Canadian bureau, like an Indian bureau, like a US bureau. We standardize all the scores, the metrics, the attributes. We make it compliant with US standards, and we're able to deliver that in real time to our partners so that the consumers can get approved from the day they arrive.
Presumably, though, there are countries whose data is either lacking or is of poor quality and cannot be standardized in line with that. So I guess that kind of limits your market until their credit data is sufficient for you to show it to people that want to provide them with credit. So how does that limit your market? Does that prevent you? Does that reduce your ability to scale?
It certainly does. I'd love to be able to solve this problem for people from 200 countries moving to the remaining 200 countries. But in reality, the way migration works is there are core corridors, major corridors where people are moving. India to the U.S., Canada to the U.S., Philippines to Singapore, China to Hong Kong. There are these major corridors, and we have to make sure that our capability can serve those corridors to have the greatest impact. And so, ironically, France is the only G20 economy, to my knowledge, that doesn't have a credit bureau. So currently, that's the only G20 economy where we don't have a solution. We'd love to be able to help French people moving to the U.S., to Canada, to London, but we're not in a position right now to build the credit bureau of France. When that emerges, we'd love to cooperate with that organization.
I'll have to ask some questions when I'm in
France,
Paris. maybe it conflicts with the desire for égalité. What kind of traction have you gained? I think you've been around for is it 5 years now? So what kind of traction have you built up?
Yeah. In terms of the product is up and running, and it's used by Fortune 100 companies at this point. We're probably best known for our partnership with American Express, where anybody who moves to the U.S. from the countries that we've enabled for them. So let's say if you move from London to New York, you can now instantly get approved for an American Express card. For any of American Express's U.S. consumer cards in a fully digital, real-time manner from the day you arrive. And I'm happy to share just a little bit more on that one. So, like cards is an area where we've had the most success. Consumer cards. We've also had a fair bit of success in student lending here in the U.S. And now over the course of the next few quarters, we're expanding into auto, some personal loans, as well as telecom, apartment leasing. There's a variety of verticals where this segment of the population struggles with access, and better information is the missing piece of the equation to help people get the products they need.
And interestingly, of course, you and your family were migrants themselves. I think from the former Soviet Union, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you may have been 3 years old at the time, so maybe you don't remember the journey. But I mean, did your family have to kind of start from scratch? Was it kind of like quite a tough or a less than luxurious upbringing?
Yeah, I mean, immigration's hard. I was fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it, to be a child, and so the bulk of the stress and the experience was borne by my parents. But moving to a new country, learn a new language, have to retrain yourself professionally. You have to fully reestablish yourself in terms of your network, the people who support you, and then the banking sector makes it really hard for you to get access, and so. And all of that's happening in an environment where you don't have the same social safety net to help you land on your feet if you hit a speed bump. And yeah, immigration is just it's a difficult experience. I think that's one of the reasons why anybody who's met most immigrants who I've met in my career are incredibly proud of being immigrants and getting to where they are, because it is a very humbling experience to have to sort of reestablish yourself from scratch. It's almost like an entrepreneurial journey in and of itself.
And what impact do you think that had, if any, on your setting up Nova Credit? Do you think if it wasn't like a conscious decision because you saw how your parents struggled or other migrants struggled to get credit and the like, maybe it was something subconscious that kind of led you down this path, maybe destiny?
Yeah, I mean, the business really started as understanding a user need, right? We're very very need fit focused. We were interviewing dozens of classmates in grad school, and we realized that half of the people we were speaking with were foreign, and 100% of those people couldn't get access to basic financial services. They just kept getting rejected from cards, and we sort of realized that this is an incredibly attractive source of growth for the economy, for the banking sector. To put that into perspective, half of U.S. population growth is coming from migration, meaning there are more people who move to the U.S. every year than there are Americans who turn 18 and become eligible for financial services. You look at, the European Union. There are so many, inter-European migratory flows into Europe from around the world. Like, this is a segment that if you don't have a strategy for how to attract and retain, you will demographically lose market share over time. And the availability of this technology solution and the infrastructure that we've been able to create is what finally allows our partners, some of the leading banks in the world, to cast light on a segment that they've always wanted to be able to serve, but they've never had the tooling to be able to do that in a digital first manner.
You mentioned the European Union. I think, if I'm not mistaken, for all the talk of the single market, different countries, France notwithstanding, have different credit scoring, and so even within the European Union, it can be quite complicated to get credit in different countries that aren't native to you. But I mean, you yourself, Misha, I think you worked in banking, you worked in private equity, you worked at Google, but you didn't actually start Nova Credit until 2016. So, I mean, what took you so long? Why was it so long before you went down the entrepreneurial path?
Took some time to find the courage to give it a try. I mean, it's a big undertaking, to solve a problem like the one that we've solved, which is it is global in nature. Our business was global before it was local, right? I literally had to fly around the world, shake hands with regulators, meet their credit bureaus in all the major markets, just to pull the pieces together of this equation. Like it's a big undertaking, and it took a certain level of just naive optimism and courage to give it a shot. And I don't think I would have been ready to start this business, right out of university. I think it took, I needed to get some more familiarity with how to build relationships, how to think about regulation, how to build technology, how to assemble a team, how to motivate a team. So, as much as I wish I could have started right away, I don't think I would have been prepared. Frankly, you're never quite ready to start the business, but really, really proud of the progress we've made over the last few years.
And I guess lots of video conversations over the last 12 to 18 months. But Misha, don't go away, because we've got to take a very quick break, after which I'm going to continue my conversation with Misha Esipov, co-founder and CEO of Nova Credit. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. And now, Misha, I've got a few more questions for you, so let's kind of talk a bit more in general terms about the fintech ecosystem. A lot of fintechs kind of start out doing one thing and they end up doing many more. I know you've already mentioned your partnership with American Express. You've expanded, I think, to create a credit card marketplace. Can fintechs in general, do you think, make it big just by focusing on one thing and doing that one thing very well? Or is it inevitable that for this desire to grow and get bigger, you're going to have to create new products and move into different areas?
I mean, I think it really depends on the market and the problem that you're trying to solve. For our business, we've started by solving the problem of financial access for recent immigrants. So people who are moving around the world, starting over, have to replant and get access to all their basic services from the day they arrive. And that's a really attractive customer segment, and one that arguably is, as you think about universe expansion, to the extent there are any bank executives listening in here, or fintech founders listening in, universe expansion, you can go and compete in the red ocean with all of your competitors, or you can unlock a new data source that can allow you to win a customer segment that is currently just falling through your funnel. And so I think from the perspective of starting a business, being hyper focused on one problem at a time, getting the flywheel working, and then starting to build on top of that foundation to unlock additional opportunities for this segment. So for us, that meant we started in cards, then we went after student loans, now we're going after auto, and then in parallel, we're starting to add additional data sources to expand the types of consumers that we can help serve. And then beyond that, we're part of our international strategy is now well underway. So we'll be launching in Singapore at the end of this year, and then in the UK next year.
You've talked about this being an attractive business and with plenty of room for growth. Obviously, you want to build a big business, a big fintech. How important to you is it to actually do good at the same time? And do you think this is something that is increasingly becoming a critical part of fintech founders' thinking when they come to set up a business? It's not just a question of, right, I want to build a business and make lots of money. It's, I want to build a business and I genuinely want to do some good with it at the same time.
I think if you don't have purpose in the core mission of the company, you can't attract and retain the caliber of talent required to make an impact on the world. And fortunately for our business, every incremental improvement in what we do systematically helps people get access to financial services, helps a segment of the population that is grossly underserved by banking. And that's something that's it's really cool. It's really amazing to be able to, have a business that, you could call it a social enterprise, if you will. But we are a for-profit venture-backed company. But every time that our infrastructure is used and we're able to move data from one market to another, we are helping somebody get access to financial services and creating a win-win-win for the ecosystem. We're helping the bureaus abroad because they have a data asset, and there are opportunities in a regulatory compliant manner to use that data asset to not only generate more revenue, but also help people from that country. It's a win for the banking sector because they're able to win a customer segment that has previously been invisible to them. And most importantly, it's a win for the consumer because the consumer is able to get the financial product that they want from the very first day that they get here.
And just finally and briefly, if you could, because we are unfortunately running out of time, Misha, what other innovations have caught your eye and which are kind of having a similar impact or having another positive impact on those who are perhaps financially excluded?
I won't bore you with my opinions on open banking. I think there's a lot of exciting work being done in open banking, certainly in Europe as well as here in the US. I think there's an incredible amount of opportunity to use that information as well as other sources of consumer permission data to help people that are credit invisible or credit disadvantaged in various ways. I think there's also a lot of opportunity in cross-border finance. There's a number of companies that are supporting the creation of cross-border financial products, so enabling people from one market to access products from another, whether they be consumers or small businesses or enterprises. So I just think as the world continues to get increasingly globalized, the financial services sector will no longer be confined to national borders. We will, I don't know how quickly this will happen. We're starting to see it in Europe. We're starting to see it in parts of North America. But my opinion in long-term perspective is that the world will eventually develop a truly global consumer finance market. And we're really excited to play our role in making that happen.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on whether that pans out and what role Nova Credit plays in that. But unfortunately, we are out of time. So I really just want to thank you, Misha Esipov, co-founder and CEO of Nova Credit, for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I'll be back next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. So we do hope that everyone watching will join us again then. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all the exclusive interviews and content from the Paris FinTech Forum Communities Program via www.parisfintechforum.com. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.